It's ShopTalk Moments by No. Check it out.
$1 Million Boss women in the room. Like, okay, was it luck? Like, just tell me. Like, was it luck to make your first million? Like, what, like, really?
Definitely not luck for me.
I don't know. I feel like, yeah, it was luck to be there in that place at that time. But then it's like, did you pick it up and take it? Did you do something with it? Mm-hmm. Or did you just let it flutter on by?
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so we gotta just like, I gotta bring you out here, Lisa. Like, okay, $1 million in like what, 90 minutes or something? You made $1 million in 90 minutes.
What? I need more information.
Like, wait a minute.
That is correct. But behind the scenes, that was a decade of very, very hard work. Me sitting on my floor, crying, almost giving up. There was a time when I had $7.15 in my bank account as a founder, very early on as an entrepreneur. Yeah. And then I just kept going and did not give up. And yes, I did have that moment with making $2.3 million in 90 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a decade of work. It could have been a little bit of luck, but a lot of just continuing to keep going. Yeah.
I think that's so important to talk about that because, you know, we know that about 2% of all female business owners make, you know, $1 million or more. That's like the statistic, right? And that is a really, really small percentage of women business owners. But, you know, like it takes a lot to get there.
Right.
It takes a lot to get there. But I think it's really important to also say, like, it's the work. It's the decades. Like, this is not
I think
it's no overnight success.
Right.
You see it on, you
exactly.
see, what you see is the highlight, right?
Yes.
I see your highlight reel of where you are at with your,
right.
And
don't see what
she's an
happens
amazing
behind
company,
scenes.
right? And all of us are at that point where there are these moments that are exciting and glamorous.
Yeah.
But you don't see those moments behind the scenes.
So like more money, more problems?
Yeah, I think, you know, to piggyback off that, I think a lot of people see entrepreneurship and they see, you know, what you're doing, whether it's social media or on your platform, and they're like, wow, glitz and glam and so amazing, but they don't see the hard work and they don't see that, you know, as an entrepreneur, it doesn't turn off. And so, yes, you know, you're making your first million and that's amazing. And you go forward and you're continuing to grow and, you know, hopefully, but I think a lot of them don't see the hard work and tears and the late nights and what all goes into being an entrepreneur.
Right.
So,
call
it luck, call it hard work. I think it's a mixture, like you said, of both. But
I'm telling you too, like I had a 4 a.m. wake up call, like, and I didn't go to bed until after midnight, right? Like we're talking long days. Like it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart.
Absolutely.
So why didn't you give up?
I don't think I could at that point in time. There was so much just like pressure to keep going. Honestly, I was dreading this question because I was like, the $1 million mark was the worst year of my life.
Hard.
It was awful. And there was so much stuff that was happening too. I mean, we have like a family business and we like lost a family member that year and still had to like keep going and keep going because the whole rest of the family is depending on this one thing that's keeping us all afloat. So no, that was really like a crazy, crazy year. And every time I think about like anyone who's made it to that point, I'm just like, this is incredible.
Right.
So I would say more money, more problems, and not in a way of, oh, you know, obviously with money comes different challenges, right? And then when you have a family that, you know, is a part of your success. And, you know, I think naturally as women, we're nurturers and we're caregivers and you want to be able to give back what you make to your family and be able to bring them in on your success. And so when you think about problems, I don't want to say problems because you don't want to look at family as like a burden, but you do have that pressure of, okay, now I have to sustain this lifestyle. I have to sustain this wealth because I've got other people depending on me.
Well, it's also like hiring and firing and scaling and money to like get to the next level and like funding and all these things.
The pressure.
Like, there's a lot that goes into like getting to, would you agree, like getting to that first million is hard as hell, but then like getting to the next level and like sustaining and all of that. It's like, we were just talking about, you know, it's okay to like be the first, but you can't be the last and the pressure that comes along with that.
Yes.
And it's like, it's so like, what are your thoughts?
I think like once like the $1 million mark was when it was like, okay, this is great. You can do what you've been doing to get to this point. Yeah. But then you actually have to change really rapidly if you want to keep growing. Yeah. And I think that is probably where like the most pressure comes in. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, what I've been doing isn't sustainable. Yeah. Like if you want to keep going.
And I think too, like we say, like again, going on that, like more money, more problems. Like, so you build and you build and you build and you build. And then was there ever a time where you like look back and you were like, can I go backwards? Like, I want to like, this is all, we talk about the pressure, right? This is a lot of pressure.
Right.
I am all in on this. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Right.
It was actually more simple. It was actually more balanced. It was actually like,
Wow.
felt like, did you ever have a moment where you were like, oh my gosh, am I even
had
myself
that
anymore?
moment, but I've thought about it that way while I'm in this journey and thinking I need to just embrace where I'm at right now and really enjoy the present, because all of us, I'm sure all of us sitting right here could say, oh, I had that $1 million moment, or I achieved this particular milestone. I had been working really hard at it for years and I achieved it. But how many times do we sit and actually say, wow, I'm really proud of this, and actually celebrate it? Do we ever take a pause and celebrate that? Or do we just continue?
I think as
to
women,
work?
like we're so hard on ourselves, right? As mothers, as businesswomen, as wives, everything. I mean, just in general, I think that especially if you're an entrepreneur, like you have a level of perfectionism that you want to achieve and you want to continue that. And then like you said, being the first but not being the last. Like if you have kids that are looking at you or employees that are depending on you, I think the pressure is there. But I think like you said, being present is so important in all aspects. But then, there are times, I was just having a conversation with Rachel the other day and I was like, you sit here and you're like, wow, I'm so thankful for the journey that I'm on. But then it's like, I miss the days when I was just like, still.
Yes.
And it's like, she's like, well, I'm kind of like on my next journey where I'm in that. And I'm like, I'm kind of envious, but I also love what I'm doing. So you have those mixed feelings. There's days when you're like,
days of shopping
I
on
want to
Friday
conquer.
afternoons.
Yes.
Like when I just had a free minute to like do anything.
Yeah, or just
right?
Pilates or
just
yoga
like walk through Target, and just be like, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
Like, we should do our next chat in Target.
I miss those moments,
Yeah, I agree.
and I think it's so challenging. And I think there's also this like, it's for the women who are super ambitious, they look at this number and they're like chasing the number, right? But for everyone who's like crossed that threshold, it isn't easy to get there. It isn't easy to stay there. What's the point?
Right.
I want to know, like, why are you even doing this? What's the point? Actually, I'm not. Take my mic off. We're done here.
As you I think once you like get going, like it's hard to put your ambition in the back seat, right? Like it's hard to just, turn that off. And it always does seem better. You're like, oh, like remember back in the day but you had problems then too. Right. Yeah. And the problems just change. Like I think about this with the more money, more problems. It's like there's actually like kind of equal problems. They just are different. Right. Yeah. Like back in the day, it was like I ran out of almonds and that was a big problem. Yeah.
And someone who has an almond-based dip running out of almonds is actually
it was
a really big problem.
It was a big problem. And I had to run to the store and get them and I didn't like that. Yeah. But now it's like, big problems they seem a lot bigger, but you also have the capabilities of handling them. Yeah. That you've like grown into. So
you're all visionaries. So as visionaries, do you ever have a problem with like sleeping at night?
Gosh.
Do you like wake up in the middle of the night, or do you have people tell you like, okay, no more ideas?
Yeah,
like no more businesses, no more concepts, no more anything.
Absolutely. You have in the back of your head, you have like all these different things. Like, oh well, I have this idea and this vision, and my team will be like, Nilou, please
stop.
Like stop where you're at.
Like I have the crazy ideas. Like
so
okay,
funny.
let's focus on this. Right? Yeah.
But it's hard.
You're like, I have an idea. And your team is like, let's put this in a treasure box for later.
Many of those are what got all of us to where we are today.
absolutely.
So what if we would have put one of those dreams or one of those visions in a box and put it aside, and we want to be where we are today? So I completely agree with that. I'm like, well, just why not?
And the really, really big dreams that are so incredibly crazy that everyone tells you it's crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
I had a nightmare that I started a crepe company last night.
You're like, how timely is this?
And I just asked you.
You're like, universe, is this a yes or is this a no? Like, what are you telling me?
I started lemon crepes and I sold my first one. And then I remember I had like a card reader to take the money and that venture failed. And that was my dream. So I didn't sleep. Not well, at least.
Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious. How do you like, everybody talks about like the balance and the juggle and the like, you know, and we all have different words and takes for it. But, you know, we do, as top women, we have a lot riding on this. We have a lot of people relying on us. Like, what does self-care look like?
These days for me, it's tough to say. I'm just trying to stay above water.
You're like I'm surviving.
I want to do all those things. I'm like,
Yeah.
I try to make it to the gym. I try to like get a massage in. I mean, I own a spa. I own a fucking salon.
She owns.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And that's where we're doing this next thing.
Yeah.
At her salon.
I would love that. But I go in there sometimes and like they're like, what? You haven't got a pedicure in months. I don't even have time. I don't have time to even go enjoy, you know, the things that I provide. And like, I can't even tell you the last time I've got a facial. And why wouldn't I? It's like I can walk into my own place, but it's hard. You put yourself last. And I think that's natural for us.
Yeah.
You know, we want to be successful to some degree. You have to be able to be not so selfish, and you have to be able to put so much more forward. And I think that's kind of one of my flaws personally.
Yeah. I love that. You know, I had someone say, but what are you doing for you? How are you taking care of you? And, you know, we all get that because as we're running, we're like, we're like sprinting to whatever it is, right? And I think as like ambitious women, we get that a lot. And I go, and I didn't know how to answer that question because I'm exactly like you. Yeah. Like I'm only getting nails done because I have to get them done for this. And then they look ragged. Like I'm a ragged mess most of the time, right? When like we all are and we can dress up nice. But I really thought about the answer to that question. And I go, you know what? Like that's not my season right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will self-care as soon as I possibly can, but right now I'm really happy, like just chasing it and just running after it.
Yeah.
And that to me is like super fulfilling, you know?
Yeah. I love that.
As an entrepreneur, a relative said to me, it was actually my mother-in-law, she said, as a founder, you are really trying to cram in your entire career into a shorter time span to get to a certain goal that you have for your company. Whether that be a certain revenue threshold, whether you later want to go through M&A and sell the company, whatever that is, you want to go public, whatever that is for you, you are putting all of that into this one phase, right? And, you know, you have to think about whether that's worth it for you, but, you know, you do have to make sacrifices.
We chose this lifestyle, like, right? And so like, what's next? A crepe company?
Apparently a crepe company.
I mean, but don't worry, we'll make sure you get that card reader.
I need to be able to get money from it. It can't just be a passion project.
But you know what? The best passion project, like I will say no, was literally a side hustle, a fun side project to bring women together. And it's become something so incredible. So are there any little things that are like around the corner or like, or do you just say, I have a bazillion ideas, but like, no, keep going, keep driving.
It's hard. It's hard to do that, right? It's just like put your foot down and say, I'm going to put this aside. I think just kind of taking it day. For me, it's day by day. Like I need to get what I have under control and like continue to scale that. And then all the other visions, it's just like put it in your pocket for a second, stay quiet because they're your visions and you don't want someone else running with them.
Right, true.
And that's important.
Oh, that's true.
Because you open your mouth to the wrong circle and now your visions become someone else's reality. And it's just, I mean, to some extent, I guess that's good. But in others, it's like, yeah, that's my idea.
Right.
Yeah. I just started like a coffee franchise and a music label. So trying to figure out how to do that. It's fun.
That's amazing.
But I mean, like worst case scenario, it all succeeds. And I just get totally freaked out by how much work it is.
I know.